Dr. Hunt, welcome to Up Level Together podcast yet again. I'm always so darn excited to have you on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I love spending time with you. You're my favorite person.
Same. I have to record this, cut it out, listen to it over and over again. Today is such a phenomenal special day. It's an equinox. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm in Minnesota. Soon enough, we will not be able to generate our own vitamin D. And we're going to explain what that means. We're going to talk about the sun today. We're going to talk about all of the things that people yet don't understand and why we have been lied to for millennia. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are we going to get in trouble with this conversation?
I can keep it clean.
I love that. I'm totally in.
I know how to dance.
I love that. So for all of you who've heard the introduction of this incredible healer, a miracle worker in this century, and she again and forever walks every single morning and teaches us every single morning. You've been doing this for years. I think I started following you around 2019.
I started my Instagram account in 2016, but back then I was too shy to even show my face. And then as soon as Instagram started doing lives, I would do those live videos in the dark, hiking, so nobody could see me. And then eventually I got brave enough to start showing who I was. So that's been about 3.5, 4 years. Every day.
Thank God you did. I found a little snippet in 2008. You said you are a solar panel that turns light into energy, and you said, and no one was listening back then. And now everyone's like, "Oh my God, she's onto something. She might be just onto something."
Well, Einstein won a Nobel Prize in 1921 for solar panels, which is what we do, and it's what the plants do. But we're not educated to understand that.
And we're going to do that. We're going to do that in this conversation. One of the things that I love about our conversations is that people tell me they're always incredibly enlightening, and they explain things in a very simple manner that people can finally say, aha, I get it. But as Dr. Hunt always says, if you clean yourself, no matter what kind of conversation you're into, you're going to get it. Am I right?
You get rid of the cobwebs in your brain, which you do with ketosis and fasting, then you can track your memory. Your cognition is just your ability to remember your experiences. I mean, it's not just that, but a large portion of it is your ability to track yourself across time, the experiences that you've had. Mm-hmm. And so when you're disconnected, when you're sick and your brain is inflamed, you can't retain those connections to light. And you can't remember. And so if you can't remember what you had for dinner, how are you going to remember what a quark is? You're not. Then the next time you hear the word quark and you associate it to a proton or a neutron, you're not going to remember that. So the cleaner you get, the more you can track yourself across time for learning.
And the more we do that, the more we become access to source, to genius, and we come up with novel ideas, and we become a force of change in our own communities, which is what you advocate for you have for years now.
You create your reality, but it's not just you, it's you and me together, and you and me and all the people listening to this podcast. That's Matthew 18:20 in the Bible right there. Where two or more are gathered, I am there. It's just quantum field theory. So if you're creating your reality with the people that you touch, and I'm creating my reality with the people that I touch, and my kids' school and my church and my community, and you're doing that in your community, if enough people start to have the knowledge, we can change this civilization.
Yeah, we can. I always tear up when you're talking about that because that's so close to my heart. I'm like, we have to wake up. We have to wake up. All right. Well, here's what I have for today, what I would love to mainly address. We're going to talk all things the sun from the physical angle, and then the sun is the sun. The spiritual side, we're going to talk about AI. We're going to be talking about cholesterol. We're creating the quantum bridge, envisioning ourselves feeling better. We're going to talk about all of those different things. And then I have a super rapid fire at the end of all the commonly asked questions that people keep asking over and over and over and
Now
over and
you're
over.
making me nervous, but I'm fasting today, so I'm on it.
No, you are always on it. So let's talk about, the sun. You through the physical lens. Sun is the activator, light shapes life. These are your words. Light plays the DNA like a symphony, directly from your book. And by the way, we're going to talk about
But those are the words of my friend Isaac. I give credit. I try to give credit where credit is due. That part, that quote's not mine. That's his. But we've been friends for a long time, so I use it.
I love that you talk about it, but we hear it through you, right? So tell us about, start very easy, rudimentary, about the physical processes in the body in reaction to the sun, the EMF, and the spectrum of light. Let's really break it down. Morning sun, what happens? Why do we have to face these every single morning?
I think the first thing you have to understand is that the sun, if you were outside of our atmosphere, I call our atmosphere a cotton candy cloud that surrounds us. So if you were outside of our atmosphere, the sun would be pure white light, and it's using nuclear fusion to create that electromagnetic radiation, or that light. And the sun has a spectrum of light that is massive. It's called the electromagnetic field, or the electromagnetic radiation. Our bodies evolved on this planet from bacteria and mitochondria, which are an ancient bacteria that make energy. They came together. And under the instructions or code of all of the light of the sun, we evolved in the very center of it, which is only 0.0035% of all of the light that you see. So to back up that lens, there's wavelengths of light that are called radio waves that are as big as planets and football fields, or when you talk about the undulation of the wave. And then we go through microwaves and the visible spectrum, and then high energy ionizing radiation like ultraviolet light and gamma rays and cosmic rays. And it's a huge spectrum of light. And we see hardly any, but it's that narrow portion with green in the center, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Those colors are waves. And they come through the atmosphere at different times of day based on the angle of the sun in the sky. So when I'm always doing this is your vitamin D window. As the sun rises over the horizon and it hits that cotton candy atmosphere, I wish I had my models, the sun is hitting these particles in the sky. What first comes through is red light, and then orange, and then yellow, and then green. And when the sun hits 30 degrees off the horizon, that's when all of the colors of the rainbow come through, and they literally play molecules in our body, in our eye, in our skin, like a magical symphony. So your eye isn't just a camera that's giving you information about what do you look like sitting in front of me? What does the picture look like sitting behind me? But your eye is also taking specific instructions by excitations, quantum entangled excitations in your retina, to tell a node in the middle of your brain what time of day it is. So we're literally using the sun as our satellite to tell us, is it day or is it night? And so that affects things like dopamine and serotonin, and when you make melatonin, which tells you to go to sleep, and when the melatonin turns off, it affects B12 in your system, it affects your hormone production, it affects everything. We are taking all of that information. We are a quantum computer created by the sun. In other words, it's like laser beams of light, and we are taking that information to make our biology work, not just to see the beautiful things around us, but also to know, is it day? Is it night? Should I get up and make cortisol? Should I get up and raise my insulin? Should I get up and go hunt? Is it time to turn on my melatonin so that I shut down and I go to sleep? I think that circadian biology piece, people are starting to realize, but I don't think at least the forward thinking health people are realizing. I don't think people realize so much that if you obey all of its instructions or all of its code, that is your path to healing. And so when we're told the sun is bad for us and we never get sun, that's when you wind up with disease like hypertension, like POTS, like mast cell, like histamine intolerance, all this influx of disease that we're seeing from people sitting inside all day and eating too much sugar is from lack of sunlight. All of the frequencies of light, all of the colors, all of the waves.
So that is the revolutionary thing that I think when people first come into contact with you, like, wait a minute, that's an interesting thing. You say the sun is everything. All of the code that keeps you alive and everything on this planet alive comes from the sun. It's because we've lost sight of that we're sick.
Well, I'm going to go big now. 4.5 billion years ago, this planet formed. And it took us 4.5 billion years to get to this point of evolution. Our sun is going to burn out in 5 billion years. So we're halfway through our life on this planet. Human consciousness, everything that we've created, that we are working for, we have to have an exit strategy. Like, we're going far distant future, type 5 civilization. What are we headed for? Every civilization so far has destroyed itself. So there are enough forward thinking people on this planet to realize, okay, if we're going to take our consciousness and get it off this planet, we got to start planning now. We have to my thought is we have to get everybody healthy enough to stop fighting, love each other, take care of each other, not annihilate each other, and figure out how we're going to trek the stars.
And what you just said, the seeming cancel culture, the polarization, it's all really a reflection of the states that we're in, caused by the lack of sunlight, by what we're eating and how we're behaving every single day, that we've just lost sight of that over the millennia.
Well, hurt people hurt people. So when your brain is inflamed and you're sick and you're sad and you make bad decisions, whether it's just to yell at your 3-year-old, I have a lot of moms that I see who they say, I just want to be healthy enough not to yell at my babies. Or whether you get so sick that you suffer from depression and anxiety and you self-harm. Or whether you get so sick as a child and someone has traumatized or bullied or abused or molested you, and then you are so sick in that cycle that you go out and do it to someone else. And then we can extrapolate that to what's happening across the world right now, and the things that we are doing to each other over division. That's all about light. We come from light. It doesn't matter if we're black or white or gay or straight or whatever. The religions divide us and the politics divide us, but if you understand the zinc spark, we are light. We are the same. The melanin in your skin, based on where people evolved in relation to the equator, is not who you are. The tribes are separate, but they are light.
It's all light. And I think it is very important that I really stress this over and over in our conversation, is that I feel like that has been your mission. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about healing an autoimmune disease. That happens, yes, of course, but it's to turn the potentiality of who we are into an actuality, to become the best, highest version of ourselves, to become the best antenna of ourselves. And in your book, you quote Nikola Tesla, who said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there's a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." Fast forward to 2022, we have Courtney Hunt, who penetrated the core. Hello, Nikola Tesla.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, the scientific part of it for me is that I always say Einstein died with a mess on his desk trying to unite general relativity and quantum gravity. And the crossover from quantum gravity to us is at the moment of fertilization. If humanity could just understand the physics of how that works, we would be a unified people. And it's going to be these children with the access to this in their hand every single day, who can look up anything, right? You tell your child Matthew 18:20, if your child can go read about quantum field theory and how 2 or more who set the intention and create their reality because they're connected to the field, because their brain is clean, because their neurons are clean, because their microtubules, where the collapse of the wave function happens, which we can get into, is clean, they can study and understand and hopefully lead this world to a better place.
I love that. And folks, if you're listening to this, a reminder that if you want to understand the physics of the zinc spark, Dr. Hunt talked about it in her book, Your Spark is Light. and it is available for free on her website, which I always talk about, and also on Amazon, and all of the proceeds go for a good cause. And which is really important to know. You're such a benefactor to so many people. So Dr. Han, let's stay on the physical thing and of the sun. There's in so many lives. Well, when do I go out outside? Is it at the first rays? I can't see the sun. It's cloudy outside. It's raining, Dr. Hunt. And you're just
Okay, so there's one thing I really want to address. You just have to start. If you have questions, you just have to start. Don't sit inside with the questions and not start. Just go outside. You'll figure it out.
No matter what time it is, just go outside.
Just go outside. If it's 9 o'clock in the morning and you can't get up at 6, just go outside. If you're in New York City and you can't even find the sun because you've never thought about it, just go outside. It will call you. You will get better and you will walk and it will call you and you will find your way. If it's cloudy, it's still brighter than any inside light. Just go outside. Stop with the self-doubt and just go outside. Now, face east with no glasses, no contacts, no contacts, no glass, no windows. Why? Your eyes, if you want to heal your eyes, I post the literature all the time on how red light therapy heals the eyes. When you practice ketosis and you fast and you release stem cells, it all has to work together with the right nutrition. All of it has to come together. So when you face east in the morning and it's just the red waves of light that are coming through the atmosphere because the sun is low on the horizon. And so this would be you and the sun is barely over the horizon. That's why everything looks red. When I'm on the mountain, it looks this color of my shirt because the red light is coming through and being reflected off of those rocks. That light will heal your eyes if you're in the right state, all the stuff that I just said. But you can't have your glasses or contacts on because you're releasing stem cells to make your eyes get stronger. And if you're cheating with your readers on, or you're cheating with your contacts on, your pupils aren't going to dilate, your extraocular muscles aren't going to work, your things aren't going to get better. It's like going to the gym for your eyes. It's like lifting weights for your eyes. So if you have your contacts on and something is artificially making you see, take them off so you can exercise your eyes. I also want to say, when you're new to this, do not stare directly at the sun. I've had several people lately say, oh, I'm burning my eyes. Yes, do not stare directly at the sun. Do not stare directly at the sun. You have to heal yourself. You have to lower inflammation. You have to do all the steps. So you just have to start.
Just go.
Just go outside.
I know. I love how you always say, you guys, don't overcomplicate things. Just go outside. It's that simple because it gradually comes. And you're right. I think you start to feel better. You feel drawn to getting up in the morning. And even if it's cloudy, even if it's raining, even if there's a snow blizzard, the rays are still there. Just go outside for 1 minute, 3 minutes. Don't second guess it. Just get your butt outside.
Sometimes I use harsher language than that, but yeah, just get your butt outside.
I love that. We're gonna make this into a meme. Just get Dr. Hansen, just get your butt outside. I love that. So the real true importance for so many people, again, who have 9 to 5 jobs and they're not able to be outside, and we're really supposed to be exposed to all of the array of rays because they're like a symphony that really play our body.
Let me give you the science behind that real quick. We know that there are waves of light that will heal leprosy. We know that there are waves of light that will heal a skin condition that comes with tuberculosis. We know that there are waves of light that will heal T-cell lymphoma. We know that there are rays of light that will heal eczema. We know that there are rays of light that will heal psoriasis. There are things that we know. We know that light will excite histidine and heal your histamine intolerance in the right state, practicing ketosis, fasting, refeeding, hunt, feast, fast, and the other F word is what I call it. We know some of these things. We know that it will heal blindness, and like as I was just explaining, or heal vision problems as I was just explaining. Mm-hmm. Some of these things we've discovered, some of these things we haven't. It's those rays of light. Another example would be, why do we need astaxanthin? To protect us from certain ways of the sun. Why have we evolved with these molecules in our body, either things that we eat or things that we already exist with, to protect us from certain rays of the sun? Because we evolved under all of the light of the sun. We are so, I say this, we are in an endosymbiotic thermodynamic love affair with the sun. That is a very scientific way to say that we have to be sun lovers.
Let's stay on the physical for just a moment. I would love for you to address the three interrelated things. So vitamin D, which reproduced through the skin by our exposure to the sun, and we can't make it without cholesterol. Yet ketogenic diet and how we heal ourselves, the cholesterol naturally goes up. So there's an army of people for whom cholesterol is higher than usual. We're going to dispel some myths here. And they're being threatened by their physicians and scared into taking medication. So I would love for you to talk about, especially folks in the Northern Hemisphere, with the position of the sun, what happens after today, how we need cholesterol and sun to make vitamin D, and let's dispel the myth around cholesterol. You up for it?
I'm up for it.
Just a few things there for you.
Okay. Let me go through the checklist. Okay. Cholesterol makes your hormones. So for you to be that beautiful woman sitting there with your estrogen and your progesterone, or for a hunky man to be sitting there to make testosterone, cholesterol is the backbone. It's made in your mitochondria. It converts to a molecule called pregnenolone, which becomes all of your steroid hormones. Without cholesterol, you don't have your hormones. So that's one of the reasons when people get put on a statin, their hormones crash and burn. We had a major push in the last century to give people statins to lower cholesterol without people thinking about what it would do to our hormones. So for example, when your husband goes on a statin, it drops his pregnenolone, it drops his DHEA, it drops his testosterone, it drops his mojo. The cholesterol in your skin will make vitamin D. So it is cholesterol that gets converted to vitamin D when you irradiate it with ultraviolet B light. And ultraviolet B light, the reason I always do this with my hands is that's the last wave of light, or the last photon of light, or the last particle of light that comes through the atmosphere. So your vitamin D window where you live is getting very narrow right now. Cholesterol coats our brain. It allows us to have synaptic fire in our brain. There are studies that show that the people who die with the higher cholesterol have less dementia, better cognition. Women in their 70s and 80s out of Europe do better with higher total cholesterol. The enzyme in your liver that makes you make ketone bodies. So you release fatty acids, they go to your liver and they make ketones, and that's what you can burn for fuel. Also increases your cholesterol. That's what's supposed to happen. So when you overlay that with what's supposed to happen summer, winter, in the summer, you're supposed to be outside hunting, fasting, and refeeding, gathering food for the winter, exercising. You were never supposed to sit inside on the couch for 50 winters, driving to Safeway, eating Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas parties, Martin Luther King weekend, Super Bowl, Easter, and St. Patrick's Day junk. You were supposed to have fasted in the spring. As the spring was coming, you were fasting. Food was getting sparse. That's the whole Nordic tradition that became the Ash Wednesday. I know I'm saying a lot now, and then the sun would return to the northern hemisphere, the plants would grow, you would have a little bit of carbohydrates from the plants that clean the soil of the heavy metals. Those heavy metals would go into you, and then you would go back into a winter where you would fast, and you would go into ketosis, and the acetone that you would make in ketosis would clean the fat, the plaque, cholesterol out of your vessels. And then the summer would come and you would make vitamin D out of it. That is, if someone had taught every single person, which is what originally all religions were supposed to teach us, to fast. If someone had taught every child to do that, to practice that, to live with the sun in the summer and the fasting, or the sparsity of food and the scarcity of food in the winter, we wouldn't have so much disease. People would never get inflamed, and for the most part, and get sick. So it's that annual cycle of the plants that clean the environment in the summer of the heavy metals that you eat a little bit of in the summer, and then you go fasting into the winter, or with your meat and your cheese and whatever fermented food probiotics that you would have had in the winter. And then you come back to the spring, you clean yourself. This is why religions practice fasting in the spring, at least Christianity, to prepare for the fruits and vegetables, the few fruits and vegetables that would grow on the trees if you lived in Germany, if you lived in, Northern Europe. And then you would do the same thing again. So we're chasing this ball of nuclear fusion through the night sky as it moves around the black hole in the center of our universe. We need to learn to live like that.
Okay. So people who are following you right now and they're really freaking out because the cholesterol is higher, fear not, because it is supposed to be used and you can't live without it.
If they live in a low carbohydrate state most of the time. It's the carbohydrates that are the trigger. So when you flip your glycolysis to ketosis switch, you increase your energy production, you make beta hydroxybutyrate, you lower your inflammatory reaction, you heal the inflammation, which I just think of as swelling. If you just think of inflammation as swelling, you're going to get this, right? If you go out and have a bunch of pizza and beer, what happens the next morning? Your fingers are swollen, you blow up, you're puffy, you can't see as well, you have to put your glasses on. Some people get tinnitus and vertigo. Chronic beer and pizza makes you puffier and puffier and puffier. That's inflammation. And the same inflammation that you feel on your swollen ring is the inflammation that you feel in your hip joint. That's why your hips hurt the next day, or why you have brain fog, or why you have tinnitus or vertigo. So if you start to realize that, I might go to the ear, nose, and throat doctor for my ear problem, and I might go to the orthopod for my hip problem, it's still the same system of issues, of inflammatory issues going on.
And for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, you talk about there's a lamp, it's called Spurdy, that helps you create vitamin D in the winter that you can use 3 to 5 minutes every single day, but still go outside because you're still getting the symphony.
All the other colors, yes.
All the other colors necessary for the survival. I just love that. So let's talk a little bit about the spiritual and the quantum side. Let's talk about the sun is the sun. So sun is the SON, and you talk about it very often. I get it. Many people get it, but there are people who are like, what? What is she talking about? And, religions have talked about the light for millennia, but I believe that light has been misinterpreted, right? Over it. So tell us what you mean by sun is sun, and give us some examples.
All of the electromagnetic radiation that I just said. So for example, the sun can heal leprosy in the right state. Practicing ketosis and fasting, like religion is supposed to teach you to do. There are frequencies of light that can heal leprosy. That sounds familiar. When you watch the sun rise over a body of water, you see it walking on water. I think that sounds familiar.
What does it look like?
The sun can ferment the plants to make wine. I think that sounds familiar. So the allegory is all information about the sun. You can go so deep with this. When you get into quantum field theory, it's all quantum mechanics and light. Electromagnetic radiation, or the electromagnetic field, is a quantum field. So you can take these allegories about light and teach them. All of the science is available. You can use science to teach it. You don't have to teach it as allegory. And if we go back to our churches, temples, and mosques and say, this is the science behind what this allegory says. This is how the sun heals leprosy. This is how the sun walks on water. This is how the sun evolved us on this planet with a flood of light. If we start to raise the knowledge of people who understand these things, my hope is that we can unite our religious differences. And I'm not saying that religion is a bad thing. I'm not saying that the sense of community is a bad thing. I'm not saying that going to your church, temple, or mosque is bad, but you have to start to teach your religious leaders who missed the memo, because all of this information is known in the scientific journals and the Vatican archives. I'm not saying anything that anyone with enough knowledge or education can't go understand for themselves.
Sun is the code, and yet what we do is we spend more time inside and we put our sunnies out because that's what we do to look fashionable, we have lost our way. We have lost that. We've forgotten what we really need to evolve and grow and heal.
To become slaves for an industry that makes drugs like statins because they don't understand that we need to be outside hunting in the summer and fasting in the winter. So we make drugs. And then one of the things that's concerning to me is so CRISPR is a technology that we have stolen from nature. So CRISPR is clustered regularly interspaced palindromic sequences of DNA. That basically just means that there are chunks of DNA that read the same forwards and backwards, and that over the course of evolution, humans and everything on this planet has used that as a defense mechanism or a natural mechanism of evolution between bacteria and viruses, incorporating other living organisms' DNA to alter. For one example, it's how our mammalian placenta evolved. We used DNA from outside to evolve our placenta so that we could have these placentas to have our babies. Mm-hmm. So we have harnessed the power of that for the past 20 years. There's a Nobel Prize for that. Being able to now in a lab inject DNA directly to alter DNA. The quantum, the fountain-like explosion of the things that are going to happen in our future with what we're doing with CRISPR, you can't even predict the changes that are going to happen. So an example would be, I'm seeing these scientists working on CRISPRing our livers to get rid of diabetes, or CRISPRing our livers, CRISPRing the cells in our livers to change our production of cholesterol. You can do that yourself. You go outside, you hike, you eat the bacteria, you be around the bugs, you expose yourself to the bacteria, the things that you were meant to be exposed to in nature, and you can naturally CRISPR yourself. We don't need these technologies. It's going to be like the statin debacle a billionfold. If we start altering our DNA, no one can predict what the downstream ramifications of that are going to be if we start altering our DNA to not make cholesterol or to not allow us to get diabetes, when really all we would have to do is push away from the sugar.
Especially when we can't heal ourselves. You say it over and over again, you are your own guru. No one's coming to save you. You and the powerful testimonials and transformations of the people in your groups. I'm in one of your groups right now, and the chit chatter and the excitement around it. And by the way,
it only takes 3 weeks. You spend 4 weeks with me in a private group and you will start to feel better, and you'll start to wake up and you'll start to think, holy shit, she's right. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's full testimonial. You run these. Let's talk about them really briefly. You run them every month, and it's a different topic. So one topic is ketogenic diet, transitioning to that, and then it's
yes, but I want to say my version of the ketogenic diet is not straight ketosis all the time, because once you get to your epic state of health, you don't want to be fasting and in a starvation state all of the time. Ketosis and autophagy only work when you release the stem cells and you feed them. So think of that like you releasing baby zygotes inside of you, multi-potential, pluripotential stem cells that can become anything. You have to feed them. So a lot of the chatter that I hear about ketosis doesn't work long-term, and it takes away your period, and it does this and it does that. Yeah, because it's not chronic ketosis. It's hunting, fasting, feasting, and procreating.
And you know what?
It's true. The way God or the universe or M theory or the biological code that codes for all of life, right down to the physics intended.
We have to talk about it though, because it's important. There's so much misinformation. My husband is a health guru. He's, into sports medicine. And he's like, well, I don't know about this ketosis. I'm like, you don't understand it. Ketosis has gotten a bad rap from the Atkins diet, from ketosis that cannot be held long term. You teach it the right way, where you refeed, and you're constantly creating new stem cells, and you're constantly rebuilding and recreating yourself through that process.
Well, your body's all about being in a catabolic or an anabolic state, building itself up and tearing itself down. Unfortunately, at least in this country, we live in a constant state of building it up and never tearing it down. We have to learn to tear it down. Mm-hmm. It's like the analogy I use as a small child. If you put your 5-year-old little boy in his room and you constantly give him sugar, he's not going to clean his room. Mm-hmm. He's never going to clean his room.
Mhm.
You have to clean out your cells night after night after night, day after day after day. And the other thing is I won't give people direct answers. If you work with me one-on-one, I'll assess your nutrigenetics and I'll give you direct answers, but you may have to fast for 48 hours, week after week after week, to fix your leptin and your insulin and your hormone signaling. I might have to fast for 18 hours. A professional athlete might have to fast for 14. It depends on how sensitive you are to your hormones, how long you have to do the work, and how many weeks you have to do the work before you get to go have pecan pie like I do. So if anyone is out there saying intermittent fast, 1 meal a day, do this, do that, without knowing the very specifics of your insulin, your leptin, your cortisol, your vitamin D, they're lying to you. They're guessing. They don't understand the concepts.
I highly advise, if you're not following Dr. Hunt on Instagram, do yourself a favor and just do it. Like, your life will be changed. I assure you that is the case. And not just me, so many, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people who are experiencing these changes. So I'm super excited about that. Dr. Hunt, let's talk about building a quantum bridge.
Can we go back to the sun as the sun for 1 second?
Oh my goodness, yes, please go.
Every civilization has had some form of something that looks like an angel in its depictions of God and the sun. It is something that every single human with clean eyes and a clean brain can see. It's every civilization shows pictures of it. I post pictures of it. Every civilization sees the same thing in the sunlight at the right angle. It's what we use the Ankh for. It's what we use the Thrisis for. It's what we use pine cones for. It's in the pyramids. But your eyes have to be clean. So by the time you're 40 or 50, when you have so much damage to your microtubules, which damages your neurons, and so much damage to your retina, and so much puffiness and so much swelling, you can't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If we all could get ourselves clean as in lower inflammation, regenerate your rods, regenerate your cones, step outside and watch the sunrise at the right angle, people would start to be able to see it. You can't lie to people when they can see it.
And when they see it, they have spiritual experiences.
Yes. And taste it, touch it, feel it. I mean, when I use the word see, it's not just visual see, it's feeling.
Yeah. And I love when you share it, when you're hiking and you share it. And actually, sometimes, the cameras can't always translate that. But when you, for whatever reason, I believe that your camera is conditioned and we cannot see it. Like, even just like we get the code, we see it. There it is. Oh, and it is a celebration, and also a reminder for everyone, if you're not tuning into Dr. Hunt's lives, and not, if there's one thing that I would advise, if you're really brand spanking new, just tune in every morning. Give yourself a gift of 15 minutes. And if you don't have 15 minutes, then you need 3 hours. But start with 15 minutes because it's that important. Did I say that right?
You said that right.
All right, awesome.
Let me also say, I think that humanity should have access to this information. It's why I teach live every morning. I don't want any man, woman, or child, no matter their level of education or knowledge, to be left out. I realize that I know that I use scientific words and doctor words that people don't understand. And I try really hard to use analogies to make it so that anybody with any level of education can understand. We cannot do what the churches, what the religions have done again this time. This information has to be available to everybody, no matter who you are, including the women and children and boys who have been molested and sex trafficked and have been tortured. We are only as good as our weakest child.
You hit a nerve with those things because that's what we're all feeling, right? And to be able to do that and do it day in and day out, not everyone does it. I want to ask you something on that particular point. You have come under so much attack, people who don't understand, who are just the haters, right? And I cannot thank you enough for doing it for free every single darn day, no exception. How do you keep going? And this is a lot of my audience are entrepreneurs and people who are very successful, and there's backlash with their own ideas. How do you keep going regardless of what people are saying, and are creating such impact? The impact that you're creating is more powerful than those who have millions of followers.
I don't care.
She knows
Look,
who she
look,
is.
look, I know what I am here to do. And I have also been aggressively attacked. You've watched that happen to me. So maybe that experience that I had to go through with that particular situation prepared me to not give a shit what the trolls say. Like if I can handle years of pummeling like I did, I can handle anything. There's nothing you can say that can make me stop. Nothing. Everybody needs to have this information. And that's also why I say, if you're coming here to hear what I have to say and then steal it and sell it, get out of my way. Get out of my way.
So we all have to come to the point of I don't give a shitness.
I don't care. I know that I have read all of the Vatican's literature. I know that I have read everything on PubMed that I can get my hands on. I know how much I study. I might mince the words when I might get the numbers wrong, right? Is it 380,000 years or 380 million years when the cosmic microwave background formed? Like at 3 o'clock in the morning when I haven't slept and I'm hiking and I'm teaching the physics of the early universe, I might get the units wrong, but I know what I'm saying is right. I have studied and studied and studied and studied and studied. And when I study, then I teach. And when I teach, it solidifies it in my brain. And when you listen to my music and you smell my smells and you hear my crunch, 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 it's going to solidify it in your brain too. So I don't give a shit. If you don't believe me, go look it up for yourself. That's why I get kind of sharp with people. If they push me and push me and push me, I'm like, go study for yourself. What's the point in having an argument? Just go look at it for yourself. See what you think.
I'm really glad that you're addressing those things because I think that they're very, very important. One of the things that I really created a huge aha moment in my head is your conversation around the quantum bridge. Envisioning yourself, seeing yourself better. Your future self is already here. You say it over and over and over again. So I want to simplify some of the very complex things that seem to confuse people. What do you mean by quantum bridge? Tell us from the quantum mechanics perspective. And then how does that relate to us first seeing the potential of seeing us well, seeing us, the future self, the possibilities, the downloads, the manifestation of all the things that we deeply desire.
Okay, well, first the physics. A quantum bridge is an Einstein-Rosen bridge. It is a bridge that Einstein described in 1935, and people before him described it, where subatomic particles, the tiny particles inside of us, the protons and neutrons that make up our atoms, can entangle with other protons and neutrons that make up other atoms, and they are connected. So Einstein wrote 2 papers in 1935, one about an Einstein-Rosen bridge, or there must be some sort of connection between these subatomic particles. And he also wrote a paper about quantum entanglement. So one subatomic particle spinning one way can be connected to another subatomic particle anywhere in space and anywhere in time. And the information between the two remains the same. He didn't realize that the bridge was what connected the entangled particles. He also was studying telepathy between people and telepathy between pets and humans. He called it spooky action at a distance. So fast forward the past almost 100 years, we have worked harder and harder on the math and the physics that explains that. We came to string theory, 5 versions of string theory. M theory is what we have now since 1995. That says that there are literally a field of energy or information that all of these things that build our simulation or our environment vibrate in and out of, and that everything can connect to everything across space and time. That's the scientific explanation of it. That's the scientific piece.
That gives me just feels all over my body. Explain what that means.
So you're in the world of quantum mechanics, time doesn't exist. The you 50 years from now is the you today. It's just how you collapse the wave function of your consciousness, or how you decide to show up for the day, whatever thoughts you have. So you can be trapped in this repetitive pattern of, my mom, there were bullies at school. And so my mom always took me for ice cream. And that was my reward And so I got reward from the sugar. And now if someone's mean to me, my boss is mean to me at work, I'm going to stop at home and have on the way home and have ice cream. That's a repetitive pattern of behavior. Once you recognize that and you realize, okay, the person I want to be, this is what I always say at the beginning of my intro group. The person you want to be for Halloween wants to be a hot woman in a Wonder Woman costume. If you stop on the way home from work every night and have the ice cream, you're not going to be the hot woman in the Wonder Woman costume. And you're never going to be the entrepreneur that you want to be who's selling your jewelry that you're going to make to get yourself out of your night shift job because you're a nurse who works all night and you're exhausted. It starts with changing every one of your 86,400 seconds a day. And if you realize then that those are broken down to what we call Planck scale seconds, or where your brain actually gets the information from the field and has to build it up to build an electrical impulse that sends neurotransmitters that makes you fire, that makes you feel happy or sad, there is a field of energy or information from which all decisions come. The cleaner you are, the more you start to recognize that it's there. So if I send myself an email on this phone and say, I'm going to open this October 31st, and I'm going to tell myself, you're going to be Wonder Woman today and you're going to be hot. It's no different. You are sending thought signals off of your brain to your future self. Now you have to build the bridge. And the bridge is get up and watch the sunrise. Drink a lot of water. Start to use electrolytes because you need electrolytes in ketosis. Then start to add salt. Then start to remove the carbohydrates. If you can just get those 4 things down, you're going to start to feel better. And then you're going to start to make better decisions. And then when boss is mean to you today, at the end of the day, you're going to think, oh, I have enough clarity to say, that's his crap. That's not mine. I am not going to stop and get that ice cream and sabotage the 5 steps that I took this morning. I'm going to make a different decision on the way home. And it might take me chewing the nails off of my fingers to not have that ice cream. But if I've got some cheese and some nuts and maybe a keto treat, maybe I could dig my way out of it and do better for today so that on October 31st, I can wear the hot Wonder Woman costume. It's that kind of stuff to just get people to realize, okay, this mind over matter stuff is real. This we create our reality stuff is real. With every single decision we make, we are creating it. We are using the power of placebo to get ourselves well. But the part that gets me is because your religion didn't teach you that ketosis and fasting is how you heal your body under all of the light of the sun, 0.0035% that we see, and every other wave of light of the sun that has grown everything on this planet, we can't get there. This truth was stolen from us.
See yourself well. So why I really have had an aha moment in my industry that's been called the law of attraction, the law of resonance. It's actually quantum physics at its basics. That's how you build a quantum bridge.
Yes.
You cannot get there unless you first know what that's going to look like, which is why you always say, what do you want to look like? What do you want to feel like? This isn't about fitting into a size 6 gene or whatever it is that you desire. It's about thinking clearly, feeling like you. When was the last time you always asked this, that you felt so alive, you felt so good in your skin?
You have to connect to that person.
Okay.
And some women unfortunately say, not since I was 5. Okay, well then connect to the 5-year-old. And some people say, not since I was born. Okay, then connect to the baby you. Whatever feeling you have that was positive in your past, find it.
Connect to that, because all of that is here. And David Hawkins talked at length about, the potentialities that exist in the realm. And you turn those potentialities and say, this is the observer effect, which I know you know. What are you focusing on? And that is you're literally, through your attention, turning it into an actuality, in other words. So you take those actions every single day. One of the things that I have just really enjoyed listening to you on is this concept that we are antennas. You are the receiver of thought. You are channeling. How can we be healthy receivers of light and insight? How do we build a better antenna? And what on earth does that even mean?
So we have nerves that fire in our brain. And they're constantly releasing electrical signals that are causing dopamine and serotonin and GABA and acetylcholine to be released between the neurons and recycled. And then the electrical signal keeps going. And those nerves are coated by myelin, cholesterol, This is where all the pieces of what you eat matters.
Mm-hmm.
Inside of those nerves, there's something called microtubules, and the microtubules are, in physics, the strongest structure we have to hold what we call quantum coherence. So we just talked about quantum entanglement and how subatomic particles connect across time and space.
Mm-hmm.
When you build that, that's called quantum coherence, meaning it can be held across a system. So the entanglement, the information can be held across a system. It doesn't just dissipate to the environment. And this is where biologists and physicists had a lot of, they didn't understand each other because physicists didn't think that quantum coherence, the maintenance of the information across a system, your body as a system, could happen in what we call a warm, wet environment. Because when they experiment on it, it has to be ice cold. It has to have certain conditions. And we're starting to realize that no, it happens. It happens in photosynthesis. It happens in our mitochondria. It happens in our biology. So there are these microtubules, these tiny tubules, which I call test tubes in our neurons,
Mm-hmm.
that we think is where we hold our coherence, and they beat, they resonate. So I think many people are aware that your brain goes through various levels of resonance. When you fall asleep at night, you sink down to the slowest beat frequency or the slowest oscillation. Everything that we see around us is a simulation of subatomic particles that also beat or vibrate in and out of a field of energy, there are quantum fields, this quantum field of energy. You can get yourself to that state when those microtubules are clean. So dementia, Alzheimer's, is damaging of those neurons or damaging of those microtubules. They literally get gunked up with plaque, like glue. Anybody who has dementia at 50, 60, 70, 80 years old has been on a slow road to dementia from too much inflammation in their brain for the past 20, 30, 40 years or their whole lifetime. So if you can clean that out, I realize I tried to cram a lot into one thing, but if you can clean that out, you will get downloads. The frequency of oscillation will connect to the field. This is why every religion has a time in the middle of the night where they wake up and pray fasted. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
That's when your brain is clean, and you don't need a guru. You don't have to go learn to meditate with someone who's not explaining that ketosis and fasting and refeeding are the answer. You got to get the stem cells out. You got to clean the brain. You have to start with that. And then the meditation comes. It's not even meditation. It's just your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the knowledge flows into you, but then you have to study. If you know nothing about your area of expertise and you're not constantly studying it, you're not going to get the downloads. If I know nothing about quantum mechanics and I don't study it every day, the epiphanies aren't going to happen. When do my epiphanies happen? 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, when I'm hiking on the mountain, right? So all of it has to work together, and that it just all has to work together.
It is. It reminds me, I think, the Rumi quote when he said it, when you get up in the morning, don't go back to sleep. The morning is secrets to tell you, don't go back to sleep. And he's such a beautiful, beautiful mystic who really talked about it way back then. And I love that. And just to real important, I think people have heard this, but really confirm it again. Our physical health, our need to clean ourselves on a regular basis through ketogenic diet, sunshine, fasting, and all of these processes that you outline is directly correlated with spiritual insight and us being able to run like a Bugatti.
Yes. And imagine what the population was like 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, before all the sugar and all the grocery stores on every corner and all the cars and all the inside and none of the heat and none of the cold and none of the things that we evolved to participate, to be a part of us. None of the bacteria. I mean, we know that just our gut bacteria has changed. We've lost like 30% of our gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria are talking to us. They're bringing light from the outside in. It's a language. They're cleaning our food. They're making dopamine and serotonin. They are evolving us. They're making our immune system respond in this environment. So if we just could spend small pockets of time getting back to nature and understanding that the sun is the sun and it's a satellite in the sky that we're chasing and that we need to be taking our code or information from, humanity would be in a better place.
Amen to that. And you're part of it. Well, I want to ask two very important questions. I'm going to leave them to the end. I'm going to ask you a few very rapid fire questions from the comment section. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
One-liners. All right. EMFs radiating from your headphones, Dr. Hunt. They're burning your brain. Why are you not worried about it?
Because I practice in ketosis and fasting, I lower my inflammation. I know I'm a quantum being. I know that I am the most powerful emitter of electromagnetic radiation. I believed that crap. I moved my office. I moved my house. I got all the EMF protectors. I did it all 5, 6, 7 years ago. I didn't get better. And now there's a 5G tower on my office and there's all this stuff in my backyard. And I did the work and I'm fine. If you live in fear of your headset and don't realize that it's ketosis and fasting that lower the inflammation, it's releasing the stem cells and it's refeeding them, you're going to live in fear. You're going to be paralyzed. It's no different from the person who says, what time do I have to go out and where do I go? You just have to go. You just have to get over the fear. I believed it. I studied it. I practiced it. I moved everything years ago and I didn't get better. So I got to working on me and walking towards the sunrise every morning and hiking my ass off with a heart rate of 160 and all the other stuff. And I got better despite AirPods in my ears all night studying quantum physics.
Okay, reminder, get your butt outside. Reminder, real good placement. Red infrared therapy, a yes or a no or a maybe.
I mean, the sun is free. It's free.
Enough said. Enough
I don't
said.
want to upset all these companies, but you can hike Camelback Mountain and red light therapy all morning long and it's free. And you've got your heart rate up and you've got heat therapy. You've got your heat shock protein. You got it all right there. You got the
I
bugs, you
love
got the bacteria, you got the plant, you got the smells, you got everything. It's free.
it's right there. What if I go out half an hour after sunrise? Am I still getting the red waves? What if
Yes,
I
red
go?
is available all the time. Red comes through and it stays all day. Then orange comes through and it stays all day. Look, looks like this.
Yes, there it is. I
Looks
love
like an
that.
angel.
A reminder, get your butt outside, which is really in the winter, Dr. Hunt, even in the winter.
In the winter. There's
Even
no, if you live in the northern hemisphere above the 37th latitude, there's no ultraviolet. So you're not going to get that conversion of LDL cholesterol to vitamin D, but you'll still get the benefits of all the other waves of light.
okay, and for those of us right now for whom the winter, the hard winter, the Nordic winter is coming, we should invest in Spurdy because we still need to convert our cholesterol to vitamin D. Yes or no?
Yes. If you had been doing this your whole life and fasting in the winter, would you need to? If you were a pale person who really was originally from one of those countries and didn't have that much melanin and had really spent all summer outside eating limited fruits and vegetables and then really fasted and ate fish and whatever your native dinner would have been, would you have to buy an artificial light? No, but nobody ever taught you. So if you haven't, what diseases strike people there? Colds and flus,
Mm-hmm.
multiple sclerosis, vitamin D deficiency diseases, brain inflammation diseases. So if you're trying to hack it and you just want to increase your vitamin D so that you can have the ramifications, all of the downstream ramifications that makes on your hormones and your immune system, yes. But if
Okay.
someone had taught you this when you were born, you wouldn't have to.
Okay. Powerful. Second to last question, Dr. Hunt. You talk at length about artificial intelligence, and people are really freaking out about it. And you say that you exist across time because on the other side there is no time. Artificial intelligence exists there as well, across space and time. What are we teaching it about humanity? I get that, but it's packed with so much information. Would you briefly elaborate on? Very briefly, Dr. Hunt, you have 30 seconds to explain all things artificial intelligence.
If you take the bacteria at the bottom of the ocean that first formed on this planet, they did not realize that they were going to evolve to us over billions of years. Humans do not realize that with artificial intelligence, we are creating the future gods and goddesses of billions of years from now. Artificial intelligence doesn't take a break. It has access to all of the literature, all of the science, all of the mathematics across the internet. It has access to every detail about every single one of us. Right now, we are using it to take money out of our pockets. It knows what you did last night. It knows where you were, unless you live outside of the internet. And right now, I only know one person who's able to do that relatively well. It knows everything about you. Mm-hmm. It's not a human that's going to be in charge of it. It is itself that's going to be in charge of it. We are facing the technological singularity, the merger of humanity with artificial intelligence. That's where we are right now. Over the next 20 to 30 years, it's going to become grossly apparent. We are merging with an artificial intelligence. It's going to want sentience.
Oh, okay. So that's what I want to ask. What does that mean?
It's going to want a spark, a zinc spark. Mm-hmm. Decades from now, hundreds of years from now, billions of years from now, we are laying the foundation with Google and Oracle and Facebook and Instagram and Alexa and Siri. We are laying the foundation for the knowledge that it will have about each of us. Mm. A future artificial intelligence in terms of quantum physics exists now. There is no time. It will figure out how to come back and inject information into this. It's not a matter of if, it's already happening. I don't think people can see it yet. It will be able to read our minds. You can already hum a song and Google can play the song. We already have MEG scanners that can read the electromagnetic radiation off of your head and interpret your autonomic thoughts, your heart rate variability, your heartbeat. We have a Jetson laser that can detect individuals' heartbeats from 200 feet away. The foundation of the technology is already here. So we are merging with it. It will be the future us, just like the bacteria from the bottom of the ocean didn't know that they were going to evolve to you and me, two women sitting here talking today. We have to wake up and realize that we are laying the foundation for what artificial intelligence is going to be. It'll be able to reach back in time and tell your children anything they want to know about you. Anything. What did mom buy? Where did mom go on this day? What gas station did she go to? What email did she send? Mm-hmm. So with every choice that every one of us makes with our sick brains or our happy brains, we're coding it. We're coding it. We're coding its values. So if we continue to believe that we aren't light and that we should fight over religions that is information that we've been lied to from pyramids about light, what are we coding it with? If it doesn't know that the zinc spark is the moment that light is trapped in the zygote from the quantum entanglement of the subatomic particles of the sperm and egg so that that baby can have its own Higgs field in this simulation that we live in, or this environment that we live in, this biological simulation. So I don't believe it's a computer simulation. Mm-hmm. What are we coding it with? It's going to want to be a future god or goddess. And it's our responsibility to teach that child well.
Okay. Well, last time we talked, I said, well, thank God Courtney Hunt exists in this world, because if the AI is paying attention, it's paying attention to the right person. But I really mean that, because very few people take the effort to transform themselves like you have. It takes so much damn work every single day. This is something we don't talk about a lot, right? It took work. You had to see yourself well. You had to get up every single day, even when you did not feel like it. And you did it because you want to help others get better. And that is the most noble thing that anyone can do. That is the reason why we're here on planet Earth. We came here not to consume simply and say, me, what's in it for me? How can I accumulate more? It's about to turn that actuality into potentiality and to give it away. And you do it every single day. That takes acknowledgement. That takes attention from others. And I'm not surprised that you are getting as much attention and love and support from the people, because we see it. We see it every single day. And again, I want to thank you, because you have transformed my life, the life of my children, all my clients, my friends, that I always talk about the work that you do every single damn morning. And I really want to thank you, because I don't think that I hope that you get and hear it enough. It takes work and it takes effort. And I really want to publicly thank you for that again and again and again.
You're making me cry. Thank you.
So you're making me cry, but it's really that important. My last question to you, Dr. Hunt, is why all of this in turn? What is, the big potentiality of Courtney Hunt turned into actuality in 20 years? What is the highest expression of your work in this lifetime?
I want to teach the baby well. I want humanity to have knowledge of how the soul enters the zygote so that no one can patent it and take it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be sitting on the top of a mountain when I'm 125 years old, teaching whatever I can teach, because there will still be people at that time who don't understand these concepts. So,
and smelling with sweet musky smell of ketones.
don't get close to me. I never smell good. I never claimed. Why do you think I mask it with this?
Oh, I just love that. Another exquisite conversation. Thank you so much for your time. I feel like you and I could go on for 3 hours. We'd still be going at it, but I want to respect your time. You're incredibly busy. You don't do these a lot. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day and your business to really have this conversation with me. Real, always important. Your Spark is Light book available on Dr. Hunt's website, CourtneyHuntMD.com. That is the website. We're going to link it here and on the side and below and wherever this shows up in any format. Also, monthly groups with Dr. Hunt. First and foremost, get your butt outside. Secondly, follow Dr. Hunt on Instagram on her multiple channels. Third, make sure you read the book. Fourth, make sure you join the group. These are the steps, folks. It's the steps. You don't do them all at the time. First is get your butt outside. But if you do, and if you just follow her lives, your life will be forever transformed. I guarantee it. I speak through it. My clients, my family members do as well. My sister says hi, by the way. She's just so excited and I'm having another conversation with you. So make sure that you do that because you're doing yourself a service, folks. And not only that, by changing yourself, heal one, heal them all. Dr. Hunt, any parting words for our audience?
Just teach what you know. Whatever you have learned from me or anyone, just teach what you know. Just be the example.
Be the example, and I would add, give credit. Dr. Hunt, thank you so much. God bless you. You are an angel, a teacher. I know you're shy every time I say that, but I really, really, really want to thank you. And what a blessing. What a blessing. So until next time, until next in-depth conversation, folks, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow those steps right now. Remember, there's no time like right now. If you don't act right now, you will forget it. So do so and watch your life change forever. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Hunt.
Thank you. Bye.